Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Well, today I would like to talk about two articles. One coming from Romania, it's in Romanian, and the other one coming from the United States. It's in English. And they both of them have to do with the negotiations that will possibly take place again between the Russians and the Ukrainians. The Romanian the Romanian article was sent to me by a very good friend of mine, and I thank him for that. And it's about an interview that was conducted by a Romanian newspaper with the Russian ambassador in Bucharest, in Romania. And the other one is a article from USA Today. Now, this article from USA Today starts like this. I'm going to read you the title. It's connected in a certain way with the other article, from the Romanian article. So it says that USA Today, it came on the 28th of March 2022 by Swapra Vanugopol Ramashav. I don't understand. I don't understand. It's USA Today talking about what the Russians are talking, Lavrov, and this who I don't know. I don't understand. If you have a reporter, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It says here, no significant breakthroughs as Russia tamps down expectations ahead of Ukraine talks. So the Kremlin tamped down expectations Monday to face talks with Ukraine negotiators scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday would result in a deal to end Russia's deadly blah 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 blah. Okay, regrettably, we cannot say that there have been any significant achievements or breakthroughs so far. Russian presidential spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Monday, and we have the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov saying rejecting Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky's latest appeal for a meeting with President Vladimir Putin, saying it would be counterproductive until Ukraine and Russia are close to agreeing on key issues. Okay, now I'm going to go to the Romanian article. So this article is from March 23rd, 2022, by a newspaper called Libertatea.ro. That means freedom, the freedom.ro, R-O. And it says exclusive. The Russian ambassador to Bucharest says there are weak hopes for peace now. It says the Ukrainian negotiators who negotiate with the Russian Federation, they don't represent anybody and nobody controls anything. So his claim is that this ambassador, and his name is Kuzmin, Kuzmin, starts with a little joke here about Stalin and Churchill. It was funny, I'm not going to tell you that. And then this is what he says. He says, when he was asked about, the negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, this is what he says. Now, that's his assessment. We can agree with that, but that's a fact. But he's looking down on this guy, obviously. He says Zelensky is an actor, as a comedian. It says that when he was asked how advanced are the negotiations between Russian Federation and Ukraine, and what do these negotiations mean from the perspective of your perspective, neutrality of Sweden for Ukraine? And he said, no, I don't have the information. All I can tell you is that the negotiating team, the Ukrainian negotiating team, doesn't represent anybody and doesn't control anything. Regarding the neutrality issue, they will be discussed after the military operations are done, are finished. It says here, it says, but the question is, but who should represent and be part of the Ukrainian negotiators? And he said they should be people who could control the Ukrainian army. That Kiev currently can't do that. He said they say something for the masses and something else, a different story on the confidential channels. So this ambassador claims that the negotiators do not control so if they go over there to negotiate with, let's say, the Russians, they cannot make any decisions because they cannot control their own army, which is Ukrainian army. They have those so-called, if you want me to use that nice word, Nazi battalions that are over there, Azov battalions. So he's like, how are these guys going to negotiate for the country when they have no authority, actually? If they negotiate something, then the military are going to kill them or not even do whatever they say, please do this, we negotiated. They're not going to be recognized. They don't have the authority, it seems like. And regarding the other thing is that Kiev says something in the public and something else in the confidential channels. Like when they discuss with the Russians and all that, they say something and they come in front of you and say, the Russians this and this and this. Remember, this is the Russians ambassador's take on things. So obviously he's not going to be balanced. He's just saying what he believes, good or bad. Or he says here, the President Zelensky could be the man who could represent Ukraine in the negotiating process. And he says, the ambassador said, what do you think? Zelensky is a comedian, an actor. He said, you don't even know what's going on over there. He said, the West did not want to know anything that happened in Ukraine, and they don't want to know what happens in Ukraine at the moment. He said, there in Ukraine, the military leadership was forming a Ukraine, an anti-Russia Ukraine. That's what this ambassador said. And the West does not want to hear about that. They don't want to know about it. He says, he was asked, why is Romania hostile to the Russian aggression? And he said, because Romania does not understand many things, which he gives the examples why. He says, it doesn't matter what happens in Ukraine, the ambassador says. In Romania, all mass media depends greatly from the West propaganda. So it doesn't matter what happens, he says, in Ukraine, because the Romanian mass media is looking at the Western guys to tell them what to say. And he said, and if we talk about materials of analysis or discussions, everything is based on analysis from Western sources, not both sources, which happens right now, actually. It says, that's why the public opinion in Romania is disoriented, and it's not its fault because they don't understand many things. The people cannot understand because they are not given information. They're not provided with information. They're provided with propaganda, one-sided propaganda. Well, it says here that there are many people who send them letters of threatening letters to the ambassador and staff and so on, and said, what can we do? This is what it is, and we don't know who sends them, but it's from the Romanian territory where this letter are sent from. Well, it's he gives he gives an example of how an event when the Russian missiles were launched and hit a target in a Ukrainian town, and how supposedly a retired military Ukrainian military reported that to the mass media when he was interviewed, and he said that's not a language a ex-military would use, and by saying that there were airplanes bombing and what actually were rockets coming from wherever. Now this could be disputed, obviously, and he also says that well, you guys like the Nazis in Ukraine, you have them basically. Uh, this is basically what it is here. He says. The militarization of Ukraine is for us an existential issue. Remember existential issues for Russians? You know what the policy is for that, atomic war. So if they have in their military dogma that if the existential threat for the national, from the nation, for the country is threatened, they will use atomic bombs. So that's what they say. So if this guy says that, the Russian says that, I don't know what's going to happen. They can't lose this war in a certain way, as put it. I mean, or they really can't, because if they lose it, I don't know how they would lose it. As I said, you kill all the leaders in Kremlin. That what do you expect to achieve after you complete the military operation? And he's giving the exact ideas that everybody says, the 4 points, demilitarization, denazification, neutral status, no NATO, uh, and the recognition of Crimea and eastern Donbass and Lugansk regions. That's what it is here. But anyway, I gotta tell you that in Romania, most reporters are women. Rarely you see a male reporter. So it's understood that for whatever reason, women are mostly represented in this business. I don't understand why, but good or bad, that's not the point. The point is that the majority of women represent or are reporters in Romania. Good for them. Now, we talk about the Mariupol. We don't care about that. It's just that this ambassador says his side of the story regarding negotiation and who is behind. And he also mentions over there that it's not Zelensky, it's the United States who plays he's the puppeteer over there, and Zelensky is just an actor who's the front man for those guys' interests. I mean, these guys' interests. So I thought it was important to see it from I don't know, that side. I didn't expect that to be forwarded to me, but I'm glad I had the article sent to me. So I was told that you can also find about 2 or 3 minutes on YouTube regarding this article. Maybe you can find it over there. Maybe I can find it and download it in a section below. But thank you for being with me today again, and stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. See you in a moment.